Yesterday, we get the news out of New Hampshire that I guess it was this weekend. You actually had the #2 Republican saying that he was going to go after the bureaucracy by, quote, slitting their throats. Slitting the throats of bureaucrats. This is what Ron DeSantis said. You have the most senior member of the Republican Party in the United States Senate talking about how IRS agents are going to go to his home state and with AR-15s and gun down middle-class business people. I mean, this has become such a violent party with such violent rhetoric. Well, let's listen to DeSantis really quickly and have you respond.
All these deep state people, we're going to start slitting throats on day one and be ready to go.
I mean, where again? I was saying before, I don't understand what's worth trashing the rule of law. What's worth trashing American democracy? I've got to say, I can't even imagine how our party got to a point where a front runner, guy in second place, would say, I'm going after the deep state and I'm going to start slitting throats on my first day in office. This is fascism, is it not?
Well, look, it's not just a race to the bottom. I wrote a piece, I think, for MSNBC a few months ago saying the brutality is the point. And there is this contest now among Republicans, not just, it's not just the cruelty is the point, it's the brutality is the point. You listen to and it is if there is a contest of who can be the toughest, who can be the most savage. Are we going to put drug dealers up against the wall and shoot them the day that they are convicted? Donald Trump wants to put spikes on the top of the border wall. Ron DeSantis comes in and says, hold my beer. I will actually slit throats on my first day in office. And I think it's not just the, I guess it's the crudity. And it is the appeal to this visceral sense of we are not in a normal democratic order. We need to destroy our enemies because they are evil, and we're going to use the most violent means necessary. So again, there is always the danger of being numbed by this, but this is dangerous, particularly when you have tens of millions of people out there who are listening to this and are trying to figure out how do you respond. How do you respond to the Gestapo? How do you respond to an illegitimate regime? What do we think is going to happen next year if this continues?
And Willie, there are consequences. I mean, you talk about how public servants are going to have their throats slit. You talk about how IRS agents are going to be coming to hometowns in Iowa and shooting people, gunning them down. You have, these people saying that the American military is going to take helicopters that were used in Afghanistan and bring them to the United States to gun down Trump supporters, that the FBI is coming to kick down doors armed to go after Trump supporters. This is all a calculated campaign. And my God, it sounds like it's a calculated campaign to whip up civil war, to create a civil war where no civil war exists.
And that's some perception of toughness, I guess, or masculinity, or whatever. Ron DeSantis, who in a recent poll trails Donald Trump by 43 points. So I think trying to be the mini version of Donald Trump isn't quite working for him. But in some way, that's their vision of toughness. And I guess they see Donald Trump doing it and they figure it's been working for him for 8 years, so maybe I'll try this on as well. But Jonathan Lemire, obviously, that kind of stuff, and a whole bunch of government organizations and unions came out and condemned that rhetoric from Governor DeSantis, because he said it before. It's a line he uses out there. We're going to slit the throats of members of the deep state, saying it figuratively, we know, but obviously that kind of stuff, that culture, that language of violence can lead to real violence, which is what we're talking about, why Donald Trump was in a courtroom yesterday.
Yeah, we saw it happen. Trump, of course, has used violent rhetoric since his 2016 campaign, talking about Second Amendment people and Second Amendment solutions when invoking Hillary Clinton. At times, he's endorsed acts of violence at his rallies. We know, of course, he stirred up the crowd on January 6th with that tweet about it being wild. We know about his call out to the Proud Boys, stand back and stand by. This is something that has real life consequences. And it wouldn't just be January 6th. We have known that, as we've discussed on the show, that there are municipalities across this country who are having a hard time finding election volunteers, finding poll workers because of the threats they have received from Trump and his allies, Rudy Giuliani in particular, in years past. And just last week, I spoke to some White House officials before this indictment came down, but it was anticipated. And they talked about how they've had to coordinate with federal and law enforcement, state law enforcement, about the rise in political violence that could be coming before next year's election. And this sort of rhetoric just adds fuel to those fires that are already burning, they're already simmering, and there's a real fear of an explosion again next year.